I rarely cover early access games, but Turbo Overkill is definitely worth your time. Even though it only has the first episode, it still has 5 hours gameplay, and what is there is absolutely amazing, so let's talk about it. Turbo Overkill is an early access retro style FPS with plenty of gore and some amazing weapons. The best thing about it though is how fluid the movement is, because feck me, it's great. A cool thing it has as well is a feckin' chainsaw leg. Yeah, you can slide with a chainsaw on your leg and absolutely rip through enemies. It's just so fun. I'm going to talk about the 2 things that make the game great. Firstly, the amazing movement, and secondly, the great risk-reward system, kind of like Doom Eternal. I will then ask the question, is it worth $20 even in early access? And then also, what's your favourite classic style FPS? Mine is Doom Eternal, so let me know in the comments down below. No more farting around, let's get on to the video. So the setup is this: you're some badass guy in a cyberpunk world that's trying to kill an AI that's trying to take over the whole human race. And to be honest, I kind of completely forgot about the story, but I really don't care, because that's not what I'm looking for in this sort of a game. The cutscenes are short, which is great because it doesn't take too long before you get right into the action of the litter-filled streets of our cyberpunk world, filled with loads of neon signs, enough to give anybody a migraine. They get the character perfect because he's a badass. It even starts with one level kicking a lad off the side of a building that was just, you know, innocently sitting there taking a piss. And then on top of that, when you run out of ammo in a gun, he just sticks up his middle finger instead of shooting people. It's like, they just get that part perfect. Now, obviously the gameplay is where it's at, and I think there's a few things to look out for in retro style FPSs. Firstly, we have open-ish levels that are just begging to be explored. Secondly, we have great encounter design that just force you to use every single last bit of your arsenal. Thirdly, we have fluid movement that makes exploring and encounters that much better. And then finally, just a load of weapons. Turbo Overkill has all of this in spades. Amazing movement, a great arsenal of weapons, and some brilliant levels. The movement is just extremely fluid with double jumps, dashes, slides, wall runs. Just running around the levels is so good, and the movement speed is really fast, which is absolutely perfect for these levels that they give you, because there's so many secrets to find and I couldn't even find half of them. It has a massive arsenal of weapons like pistols, shotguns, submachine guns, but each one of them has an alternate fire. So you dual wield your SMGs, but the alternate fire is that you hold one so that you can be more accurate. Or your pistol, you know, is a dual pistol that you just absolutely upend people with, but if you right click, it has lock-on rockets that deal a lot of damage. And then to stick with the badass tone, you have lock-on rockets with the middle mouse button, and then at the end when he sends them out, he just sticks up the middle finger to people, because why not? They just get that part so right. The encounter design is quite masterful, because at the start it's quite easy and it lets you get to the grips with all your movement and your different abilities, but as you get further into the game, this game will kick your ass. Seriously, it's really tough. The beginning encounters are quite flat, so it's quite easy to maneuver around, but in the last couple of levels it adds a lot of verticality with these big updrafts that you can jump on, and it hits you with a lot of enemies, so you have to be on your toes, constantly moving. And it even has an enemy that you can only shoot from the top, forcing you to use the verticality. Where the combat shines though is the risk reward system, which is similar to Doom Eternal. So there are augments for all your abilities that you can buy by picking up money in the levels, and you can add stuff onto the chainsaw leg so that when you chainsaw into someone you get armor and health, meaning you have to play aggressively, especially in the last few levels, because there's really not that much health and there's a load of enemies. And this should come as no surprise, but running headfirst towards a load of enemies, crouching and sliding with a chainsaw on your leg never ever gets old, and it's one of the most fun mechanics. It's quite basic, but it's one of the most fun mechanics that I've had in a game in a long time. And I guess minor spoilers for the first episode, but the final level is a moving train. Yes, you are on a train and you're jumping from a train over the traffic that's flying off on the right and then back onto the train, and you're platforming from moving car to moving car back onto the train to go from a car, all while there's loads of enemies shooting you, and I just simply haven't had this much fun. It's an extremely challenging level, but I loved every single second of it. And to go in with that, the final boss of the chapter really forced me to use every single bit of my arsenal. It was very difficult. So on the ground there are loads of enemies running at you, while this big monstrosity of eyes is shooting lasers at you. But then on top of that, he does this move that you have to constantly keep moving, so you can never stand still and you always have to be in the air. And it's just a brilliant culmination of absolutely everything that game taught me. And that's only the first episode. There's 2 more supposedly releasing before early 2023. I seriously have 0 complaints about this game so far. I'm absolutely loving it. But now the ultimate question. is it worth the $20 even in early access? And I'm going to say yes. I think I only ever reviewed one early access game, and that was RoboQuest, which was a game that I can see is going to shape up to be an amazing game, but at the time didn't have enough content. So I didn't recommend people buy that game at the time. However, Turbo Overkill is 100% worth the money. I played it for 5 hours, and that's not finding all the secrets. If you find all the secrets, each level has a bonus level that are cool little challenges. I only managed to get one, and you have to make it from the start to an end of a level while there's a load of explosive barrels, and it's really tough, so I'd be really interested to see what the rest of them are. I put 5 hours into the first episode, so let's say for argument's sake, if you get 3 episodes, then it's easily 10, 12, 15 hours worth of content when it's all said and done. And the core of what's there is so solid that I can easily recommend this game right now. Now, there is the potential that the game just never gets finished, which is something that we all have to take the risk on with early access games. But I really love this game. It has amazing movement, brilliant level design, and the encounters are just so fun. And there's a lot of weapons, and I mean, come on, it has a fucking chainsaw leg. It just epitomizes what these classic FPSs are. The only issue is that I have to wait for the rest of the episodes, which is a big shame. I really appreciate you watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're interested in a Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart review and a review or impressions on Soundfall next week. I really appreciate your time. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video, and I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.